that flaccid? Do you not find me attractive anymore?
Babe, it's not you, it's me. I'm just tired.
Is this dude in the adult industry? Cause he is packing.
You know the horror game is good when it's made in Indonesia. They just make anything horror related better than anyone else. And in this particular instance, I'm talking about Dreadout. Before I jump into details on how it changed my view, let's talk about the game itself first. You're an Asian baddie named Linda. You wake up in a strange hut to the sound of your phone's vibrations and notice that your other baddie friend, Ira, calling you before your phone glitches out. You discover that your phone can help you see and protect yourself from the unseen. I frantically got lost, moving around and not knowing what to do. I felt pretty dumb, and I was about to hit uninstall when I saw the how to play option. That helped me throughout the game. You eventually find your friend and move on to what looks like a graveyard, kill some more spooky friends, and wake up in a traveling car surrounded by your other boring friends before you get stuck because of a broken bridge. You go through this boring dialogue and oh my god, your jaw is dislocated. You can also click pictures with your phone for some research purposes. FBI, open up! You can also change your skin, which is pretty cool. But why would anyone ever want such a provocative skin? I swear, anyone that chooses a skin such as this has some major problems. I could never personally. Your goofball of a friend over here finds another area to explore, and we follow— oh my god, no wonder you're so slow. He definitely needs a chiropractor. Look at him. We find some lore along the way about what happened to this town and get some insight about why it's abandoned. We arrive at a school where your teacher and 3 of your friends enter separately in a school that has been abandoned for years. While you and your lesbian partner talk the entire day without noticing it turning dark. Later, the group that went in come back out and you guessed it, realize that they can't find the guy and now it's dark as well. So we have no other option than going back inside to God knows what, just to look for a guy named Yayan! Who names their kid Yayan? If that's your name, then please subscribe. And right after we enter, our lesbian friend wastes no time getting possessed and shuts all the exits, after which everyone including us black out. We wake up, try to leave, and have no other option but to go back inside the school to explore it. The first animal we encounter is Stepdad Steve carrying important keys and trying to beat your ass after coming home drunk. But we use the power of social media to prolong our beating. We then head to the second floor of the school where we find a prostitute that's all white with a hole in the back. Bruh. I wish I was kidding, but this is entirely canon. We cancel her on the internet. Too bad it was in 2024 where OnlyFans is a thing. She probably would have made millions. Also, this floating dude keeps following me. We move on to click a perspective picture, which would have taken way too long for me to figure out if I hadn't used internet forums, and happens to be a clue that says there's something about this picture.
Are you sure about that?
Really? What gave it away? Was it the 3 Live students? Nope, it was the damn key. I didn't even notice the—
We also find this closet that gives me every reason to not enter it. Well, it's locked now, no point going in there anymore. We explore a little more and find the guy with multiple faces. Apparently he's an immortal guy who sold the souls of others to achieve his status. And so we go back to scaring Steve and finding the key. We then go back up to the closet and find this cross-dressing guy that wants to shove a pair of scissors down our throat. We tell him that his way of living is wrong because he likes to cross-dress and it's 2014 in Indonesia.
You need to leave!
And then he eventually leaves us alone. And we get to have his scissors too. We take the scissors and find blacked out Steve and take the keys from him. Man, he's really snoring. We take the keys and head towards the exit. Except the hallway is filled with cockroaches out of nowhere. We force our way through them and have one of the scariest moments in the game. I'm not gonna lie, this part was good and was very well done. I got scared shitless and ran as much as I could. I began panicking and— wait, this jiggle animation! We canonically get caught and come back. We use our phones to find a hidden door. Man, Iris phone here needs some more investors. This phone really out here being a pocket exorciser. Really underrated if you'd ask me. We then reach the bottom floor and try to leave before we're interrupted by this guy from Courage the Cowardly Dog. And have to navigate our way to the exit while being followed by a ghost, roaches, and having to play on inverted movements while being followed by a mouse. I'm not gonna lie, some parts here were actually cool. The mouse part was really creative. We then eventually leave just to find out that we got into even deeper shit. I then finally get a break from all this voodoo shit until I hear something which I assume was a glitch. Then try to find a way out before having my phone stolen by small thieves. Following them, we meet our friend, Donnie, who I desperately try to avoid, and try to move on but let my curiosity get the best of me. Now we're running away from our possessed friend.
Nothing special, just a typical Tuesday. No wonder I hate it. We then grab the most dangerous weapon known to humanity. The umbrella. One whack of this bad boy and they're done for.
Moving on, we get jumped on by Donnie and whack the living daylight out of him.
Why is it flaccid? Do you not find me attractive anymore?
Babe, it's not you, it's me. I'm just tired. We fall into the floor, avoid our local friend over here until he falls in with us, and we manage to get away before he goes full Hulk smash on the wall and begins following us again. I swear this girl only has problems running when it really matters. Talk about being a white blonde bitch. I have never seen her holding her stomach while running.
Harder, daddy.
Bitch, what the fuck?
Before finding a safe spot in the neighboring train and witnessing our close friend being brutally murdered and mercilessly killed in front of our own eyes. At least we got a camera as an upgrade. Is this dude in the adult industry? Cause he is packing. We get rid of Mr. Tentacle and find our belongings. After we go further, we find ourselves in bliss.
She can fix me.
Then we tell ourselves that we ain't no disloyal hoe and want to go back to Era and ruin everything. We meet Mamacita over here looking disappointed, after which she turns uglier than Steve.
We've been trying to contact you regarding your car's
The situation is then followed with an epic boss fight. We then meet King Ramses' curse again and die canonically and move on to a small medical center. We hear cries of a girl and instead of being another haunted spirit, it happens to be our friend, Shelly. We also reconnect with our teacher, with a horrible attempt by the developers at making the scene look suspenseful. She advises Linda, me, to move on and find Ira. Is this a white bitch from a horror movie? Did you learn nothing? After everything, you want us, specifically me, to split up from the pack to look for a possessed girl? There is no way! So we find Ira and follow her, and meet this lady holding a child crying who we are desperately gonna ignore. After meeting Ira, we find the coolest scene in the game.
Let me show you a trick.
Yo, that is cool! We then comfort the lady with the baby and find some lore, and if any of you are interested, here it is on the screen. And also encounter one of the scariest, if not the most creative ghosts in the game. This is single-handedly the creepiest thing I've ever seen, even more than this guy as a child. We head back to the medical center and find our other friend, Shelly, unalive. Shelly, if you're gonna be dead, at least do it first. At least Donnie was original. We move on to the mansion where we encounter a pathetic jump scare by literal potato heads that gets absolutely no reaction from me whatsoever. We enter the mansion and have our movement slowed down, and upon traveling in a bit we realize that there's another spirit on top of us, which we can only see in the mirror. Honestly, I find that very creative and it really reminds me of the movie Mirrors. We deal with the ghost and move on to the upstairs room where we again get knocked off and have to get rid of the spirit, but no mirrors this time. So we just use the sound effects to locate it and the glitch effect to attack it.
Afterwards, we move back into the room because we're him, well, I mean her in this case, and find more spirits and get trapped inside a room where we encountered the best boss fight in the game. This part honestly spooked me up a little bit. After defeating her, we enter her room, sit on her vanity table to assert dominance, and honestly this bit could have been done better if it was a cutscene, or at least if it wasn't so long until this happened. We then get pulled inside the mirror, then find ourselves outside the school with the door open and go back inside to defeat the final boss. This last bit was a bit tedious because I had to constantly open my camera and fight the boss simultaneously to end the game. We risked our lives just to go back inside to find more answers and to put an end to this. We could have also ran away. Yes, this is an ending. The game then ends. The reason I like Dreadout so much and contrary to others is because of how vague it really is. If you want to know more about the game, you have to find pieces of information yourself. Just zooming through the game will leave you being confused, just like how you would be feeling if you were in the same situation as Linda. You also realize that Miss Siska is really the bad guy here, and the spirits are the ones who are the good guys. They were protecting the world from an infant spirit, which could have resulted in bigger calamities. But Miss Siska wanted to have control over that power, and intentionally brought the students, including Linda, to distract the three sisters from the child. The responsibility over protecting the child was not bestowed upon Linda from the three sisters. Near the end, you can see the lady in red talking in a poetic language, which I can only assume roughly translates into talking about how Linda is wise and brave enough to do what she has done. Instead of running away, she faced the consequences, and that is why she deserves freedom. If she had ran away, Linda eventually dies in a freak car accident. The lady in red also speaks about how a new sapling is to grow on a harsher plane, which likely means that it's her talking about the new child of the colossal snake. Dreadout has an interesting storyline, and a very abundant group of creative spirits. You also never encounter the same ghost more than twice. It's always something new and refreshing. Some bits are downright terrifying, like this hallway and this guy. The Ghostpedia gives more insight about each type of ghost, which is really handy for the player if they're as curious as me. Indonesia really is on the better end of the horror genre. Every horror movie I've watched and every horror game I've played is so much better when it's made by an Indonesian developer in comparison to regular developers. Granted, some parts of the game felt unpolished and glitchy, but the game barely had any funding and ended up crowdfunding to make the game possible. And I'm glad they did. I have never played a game that uses camera instead of a gun to defend themselves. They also did a very good job in fitting the whole thing into the Indonesian culture. Guns existing wouldn't make sense because it isn't legal to own firearms in Indonesia. There are vague lines in Indo, which adds even more spook to the game. I have never seen such creativity in horror games before. It usually either just shoot the guy or run away. Most games involve the unseen spiritual ghost or seen creature or stalker, never usually both, which really makes this unique. I can agree that the initial story is a bit obvious. I mean, going into an abandoned building in an abandoned town is the most obvious horror line, but it was made in 2012, so I have to give it some credit. I would rate this game a solid 7 out of 10. The 3-point reduction is the fact that the game taunted me for having no life, containing glitches, and just the polished overall look. I also have future plans to make videos about Dreadout 2 and Dreadout DLC, so subscribe. Jiggle animation, bro, help me, jiggle animation, come on.